The discovery. The letter in the pocket. I never thought a simple act of doing laundry would destroy my entire world. It was a Thursday morning, ordinary in every way. The sun was streaming through our bedroom window, birds were singing outside, and I was gathering clothes for washing. My husband Daniel's gray coat hung in the closet, the one he wore to important business meetings. I reached into the pockets to check for tissues or loose change, something I'd done 1,000 times before. My fingers touched paper. I pulled out a folded letter, expensive stationery, the kind you buy for special occasions. The handwriting wasn't mine. It was elegant, feminine, flowing across the page like poetry. My heart started beating faster even before I read the first word. Some part of me already knew. Some deep instinct was screaming danger, but I couldn't stop myself from unfolding that letter and reading the words that would change everything. My darling Daniel, last night was magical. When you held me, I felt alive for the first time in years. I know this is complicated. I know we promised to be careful, but I can't stop thinking about you. About us. About the life we could have together. Soon, my love. Soon we won't have to hide anymore. Forever yours, S. The world stopped spinning. I had to sit down. My legs just gave out, and I found myself on the floor of our bedroom, that letter clutched in my shaking hands. 15 years. We'd been married for 15 years. We had 2 beautiful children, Emma, who was 13, and Jackson, who was 10. We had a home, a life, memories of vacations and holidays and quiet Sunday mornings reading the newspaper together. How could this be real? I read the letter again and again, each time hoping the words would change, that I'd misunderstood somehow. But there was no misunderstanding. Last night was magical. When you held me. The life we could have together. This wasn't a business associate. This wasn't a mistake. This was an affair. My husband was having an affair, and whoever she was, she thought they had a future together. My mind started racing backward through recent weeks and months. Daniel had been working late more often. He'd taken 3 business trips in the last 2 months, unusual for his position as a marketing director. He'd been on his phone constantly, smiling at texts, taking calls in another room. He'd bought new clothes, started going to the gym, wore cologne I hadn't bought him. All the cliches were there, and I'd missed every single one. The woman in denial. I spent that entire day in a daze. When Emma came home from school, I hugged her too tight and too long. She pulled away, laughing, asking what was wrong with me. Nothing, sweetie, I told her. Just love you so much. Jackson burst through the door an hour later, full of energy and stories about soccer practice. I made them snacks, helped with homework, went through all the motions of being a mother while my heart was breaking into pieces inside my chest. Daniel came home at 6:30, right on time. He kissed me on the cheek like he always did, asked about my day like he always did, sat down for dinner like it was any other Thursday night. I watched him across the table. This man I'd known for 17 years, loved for 15, and I didn't recognize him. Who was he? Had I ever really known him at all? That night, after the kids were in bed, I couldn't help myself. While Daniel was in the shower, I grabbed his phone. He'd never been secretive about his password before. Our wedding anniversary, 0715. I typed it in. Wrong password. He'd changed it. My hands started shaking again. I tried his birthday. Wrong. I tried the kids' birthdays. Wrong. After 5 attempts, the phone locked me out. He came out of the bathroom, towel around his waist, and caught me holding his phone. Looking for something? He asked, his voice casual, but his eyes were different. Alert. Careful. I was just going to check the weather for tomorrow, I lied. My phone's charging downstairs. It's going to be sunny, he said, taking the phone from my hand. Mid-70s. Perfect fall day. He was lying to me. I was lying to him. Our entire marriage had become a lie. The sister's wisdom. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay next to Daniel, listening to him breathe, wondering where he'd really been last night. Wondering who S was. Wondering how many times he'd betrayed me. Betrayed our children. Betrayed everything we'd built together. At 6 in the morning, I texted my younger sister Maya. Can you meet me for coffee? Emergency. Maya was there by 7:30, her face full of concern. We sat in a corner booth at a cafe 20 minutes from my house, far enough that no one would know us. I slid the letter across the table to her. She read it, and her face went white. Then red. Then white again. That bastard, she whispered. That absolute bastard. How could he do this to you? I don't know what to do. I said, and my voice broke. Maya, I have 2 kids. I have a house. I don't work. I gave up my career in graphic design when Emma was born. Daniel's income is everything we have. If I confront him, if this falls apart, what happens to me? To the kids? Maya reached across the table and grabbed my hands. Listen to me, Sarah. Listen carefully. You do not confront him yet. Not until you know everything. Not until you have evidence, a plan, and a lawyer. Men like this, they're prepared. They have excuses ready. They'll make you feel crazy, make you doubt what you saw. You need to be smart about this. I don't know how to be smart about this, I said. I'm not a detective. I'm a mom who does laundry and makes dinner and helps with homework. No, Maya said firmly. You're a woman who just discovered her husband is a cheater and a liar. And you're going to gather every piece of evidence you can find before he knows you suspect anything. Can you do that? Can you pretend everything's normal while you investigate? Could I? I thought about Emma and Jackson. I thought about our house, our life. I thought about that letter and the woman who wrote it. Yes, I said. I can do that. The investigation begins. Maya helped me make a plan. First, I needed to document everything. I took pictures of that letter from every angle and uploaded them to a secret email account Maya helped me create. Then I put the letter back exactly where I found it, folded the same way, in the same pocket of the same coat. Next, I needed access to our financial records. Daniel had always handled the money. I'd trusted him completely, never questioned where the money went or how much we had. What a fool I'd been. That evening, while Daniel was playing video games with Jackson, I went into his home office. Our bank statements came by email, but Daniel had the password. I tried the same passwords I tried on his phone. Nothing worked. But I remembered something. Years ago, when we first got married, Daniel had written all our important passwords in a little notebook he kept in his desk drawer. Did he still have it? I searched quietly, listening for footsteps. Behind hanging files, underneath old tax returns, I found it. The little black notebook, worn and faded. Most of the passwords had been crossed out and updated over the years, but I found what I needed. Bank login, credit card accounts, everything. My heart was pounding so hard I thought Daniel might hear it downstairs. I took pictures of every page with my phone and put the notebook back exactly where I found it. That night, after everyone was asleep, I sat in the bathroom with my phone and started looking through our bank accounts. What I found made me feel sick. There were charges I didn't recognize. Expensive restaurants I'd never been to. Hotel rooms. Jewelry stores. Flowers. All in the last 6 months. Hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands, spent on someone who wasn't me. But there was something else. Money was missing. Not small amounts. Over the past year, $20,000 had been transferred out of our savings account into an account I didn't recognize. $10,000 more had been withdrawn in cash. Where had it gone? What was Daniel doing with that money? The professional help. The next morning, I called a private investigator. Maya had given me the name of someone she knew, a woman named Rebecca Chun who specialized in infidelity cases. We met at her office downtown, a small professional suite that felt safe and confidential. Rebecca was in her 40s, sharp-eyed and kind at the same time. She didn't judge me. She didn't offer platitudes. She just listened as I told her everything, showed her the letter, showed her the financial records I'd discovered. This is good work, Rebecca said, looking through my evidence. You've already done half my job. Now let me do the rest. I need you to give me your husband's schedule, his routines, where he goes, and when. I'll follow him, document everything, and get you proof that will stand up in court if it comes to that. How much will this cost? I asked, thinking about the missing money, the secret expenses. $2,000 for a week of surveillance, Rebecca said. I know that's a lot, but Sarah, if your husband is hiding money and having an affair, you need documentation. Without it, he could drain your accounts and leave you with nothing. I thought about my children. I thought about the woman who'd written that letter, who thought she had a future with my husband. I thought about Daniel lying to my face every single day. Do it, I said. Find out everything. The truth comes into focus. Rebecca worked fast. 3 days later, she called me. Can you meet me? I have information you need to see. We met at a park, sitting on a bench far from other people. Rebecca handed me a folder. I'm sorry, Sarah. This isn't going to be easy. I opened the folder. Photographs. Dozens of them. Daniel leaving work early. Daniel meeting a woman at a cafe. Daniel and the woman holding hands as they walked down the street. Daniel kissing her in the parking lot of a hotel. Daniel entering that hotel with her. Daniel leaving 3 hours later. The woman was beautiful. Younger than me, maybe 35. Long dark hair, elegant clothes, confident smile. In one photo, she was laughing at something Daniel said, her hand on his chest, looking at him the way I used to look at him when we first fell in love. Her name is Sophia Martinez, Rebecca said gently. She's a business consultant. She's been working with your husband's company for the past 8 months. According to my research, she's divorced, no children, lives in a condo downtown. And Sarah, I'm sorry, but based on what I've observed, this isn't casual. They meet 3 times a week. They're comfortable together. This has been going on for a while. I stared at those photographs, and something inside me shifted. The grief and shock I'd felt all week started transforming into something else. Something harder. Something cold and focused. What else did you find? Rebecca pulled out more documents. Your husband has been lying about his work trips. The last 3 trips he told you were for business? I checked with his company. None of them were approved business travel. He took personal days and vacation time. He was with her. The missing money. The secret expenses. The changed passwords. It all made sense now. Daniel hadn't just been cheating. He'd been planning. He'd been moving money, taking trips, building a secret life with Sophia while I raised his children and kept his home and trusted him completely. There's one more thing, Rebecca said carefully. I did some digging into your husband's company finances. Sarah, I think there might be something else going on. Some irregularities in accounts he manages. I'm not a forensic accountant, but I know someone who is. If you want to know everything, we need to look deeper. The strength I didn't know I had. That evening, I made Daniel's favorite dinner. Grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, homemade bread. I set the table with our good dishes, lit candles, put on a dress he'd always liked. He came home and looked surprised. What's the occasion? He asked, smiling that smile I'd loved for so many years. No occasion, I said sweetly. Just felt like doing something special for my husband. We ate dinner. We talked about the kids, about work, about nothing important. I laughed at his jokes. I asked about his day. I played the role of loving wife perfectly while inside. I was planning my next moves. After dinner, after the kids were in bed, Daniel pulled me close. I love you, Sarah, he said. You know that, right? I looked into his eyes, those familiar brown eyes, and wondered how many times he'd said those same words to Sophia. I know, I said. I love you too. That night, I lay awake long after Daniel fell asleep. I thought about the woman I'd been a week ago. Naive, trusting, content to let my husband handle everything while I focused on being a good mother and wife. That woman was gone. In her place was someone new. Someone who'd been betrayed but refused to be broken. Tomorrow, I would call Maya's lawyer friend. Tomorrow, I would start protecting my children and myself. Tomorrow, I would begin building a case against the man sleeping peacefully beside me, the man who thought he'd gotten away with everything. But tonight, I let myself feel the full weight of what I'd lost. Not just a husband, but the life I thought I had. The future I'd imagined. The trust that once destroyed can never be fully rebuilt. I cried silently, my tears soaking into the pillow, mourning the death of my marriage. By morning, the tears were gone. By morning, I was ready for war. End of part 1. What happens next? Can Sarah outsmart her cheating husband? Will the financial investigation reveal even darker secrets? Continue to part 2 to find out. Word count, 2,247 words, 211:54 part 2. The plan. The lawyer who changed everything. Monday morning, I dropped the kids at school and drove straight to the law offices of Catherine Walsh. Maya had described Catherine as a shark in a blazer, someone who'd built her career destroying cheating husbands in divorce court. The office was downtown, modern and intimidating, all glass and steel and expensive furniture. Catherine was waiting for me in her conference room. She was probably 50, with silver hair cut short and sharp blue eyes that seemed to see right through me. Mrs. Parker, she said, shaking my hand firmly. Your sister told me a little about your situation, but I want to hear everything from you. Don't leave anything out, no matter how small or embarrassing it seems. I laid it all out. The letter, the photographs from Rebecca, the missing money, the lies about business trips. Catherine took notes, her expression never changing, completely professional. When I finished, she sat back in her chair and studied me for a long moment. Sarah, I'm going to be very direct with you. Your husband has been planning this affair carefully. The changed passwords, the cash withdrawals, the secret account transfers. These are the actions of a man who's either preparing to leave or preparing to hide assets in case you discover the truth. Either way, you're in a vulnerable position. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? You don't work. You have no income of your own. Your name is on the house and the primary bank account, but your husband controls the money. If he decides to empty those accounts tomorrow, you'd have very little legal recourse until after a lengthy court battle. And in that time, how would you feed your children? Pay your mortgage? I felt panic rising in my chest. So what do I do? Catherine leaned forward, her eyes intense. You do exactly what I tell you, exactly when I tell you to do it. First, we protect you financially. Second, we gather every piece of evidence we can find. Third, we wait for the perfect moment to strike. Your husband thinks he's in control. We're going to let him keep thinking that right until the moment we destroy him. Following the money trail, Catherine connected me with a forensic accountant named David Liu. He was younger than I expected, maybe 35, with round glasses and an intensity that made me nervous. We met at a coffee shop far from my neighborhood, and I brought printed copies of everything I'd found in our bank accounts. David spread the papers across the table, his eyes scanning the numbers with frightening speed. Okay, he said after several minutes. I see several red flags here. These cash withdrawals, always just under $10,000. That's deliberate. Banks have to report cash transactions over $10,000 to the IRS. Your husband is avoiding that reporting requirement. Why would he do that? I asked. Either he's hiding money somewhere, or he's spending it on things he doesn't want documented. Probably both. David pointed to another set of transactions. And these transfers to this account ending in 7734. That's not your joint account. Do you know what that is? I shook my head. We need to find out. I have ways of tracing account numbers, but it takes time and it's not exactly legal. Are you comfortable with me operating in a gray area? I thought about Daniel kissing Sophia in that parking lot. I thought about him lying to my face every single day. Do whatever you need to do. 3 days later, David called me with news. Sarah, that account belongs to a business entity called Coastal Marketing Solutions. It was registered 6 months ago in Delaware. Your husband is listed as the managing partner, and there's a second partner listed, Sophia Martinez. My heart stopped. They started a business together? More than that. They've been moving money from your husband's company into this new business. Not huge amounts, but steady. 10,000 here, 15,000 there. Over 6 months, they've moved almost $90,000. Sarah, I think your husband might be embezzling from his employer. I couldn't breathe. An affair was one thing, but embezzlement? That was a crime. Daniel could go to prison. And if he went to prison, what would happen to Emma and Jackson? What would happen to me? There's more, David continued. I found property records. Sophia Martinez purchased a house 3 months ago. A vacation home in Cape May, right on the beach. She paid cash. $250,000. Where does a divorced consultant get that kind of money? The answer was obvious. From my husband. From our savings. From money that belonged to me and our children. Building the team. That evening, I called an emergency meeting. Maya, Catherine, Rebecca, and David all came to Maya's apartment. I couldn't risk meeting at my house, where Daniel might come home early and find us. We sat around Maya's dining table, and Catherine took charge. Here's where we stand, she said, spreading documents across the table. Daniel Parker is having an affair with Sophia Martinez. They've started a business together. They've purchased property together. And based on David's findings, they may be embezzling from Daniel's employer. Sarah, this is actually good news for you. How is any of this good news? I asked, my voice breaking. Because your husband isn't just a cheater. He's a criminal. And that gives us leverage. Catherine's smile was cold and calculating. If we play this right, you won't just get a divorce settlement. You'll get everything. Rebecca spread out more photographs. I've continued surveillance. Daniel and Sophia meet every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Always the same routine. He tells you he's working late. Instead, he goes to her condo. He stays for 2 to 3 hours. They also spend every Saturday afternoon together while you think he's at the gym. Every Saturday. For months, Daniel had been kissing me goodbye, saying he was going to work out, and spending 3 hours with his mistress instead. While I was home with our children, he was building a life with someone else. What's the plan? I asked Catherine. She pulled out a legal pad covered in notes. Phase 1. We secure your finances. Tomorrow, you're going to withdraw exactly $4,900 from your joint account. Not $5,000. $4,900. Anything under $5,000 doesn't trigger bank alerts. You'll do this once a week for the next month. That money goes into a new account in only your name at a completely different bank. Won't Daniel notice? Probably not. You're the one who manages the household expenses, right? As far as he knows, you're spending it on groceries, kids' activities, household needs. Just keep all your receipts for everything you actually spend. We need to show you we're taking that money for legitimate purposes. Maya squeezed my hand. I'll help you. We'll go shopping together, do normal things. If anyone asks, you're just being responsible. Catherine continued. Phase 2. We gather more evidence. Rebecca, I want you to document every meeting, every hotel visit, every moment Daniel spends with Sophia. David, I need you to build an ironclad case about the embezzlement. We need to know exactly how much money they've stolen and where it went. Phase 3. Catherine's eyes glinted with something almost dangerous. We decide when and how to drop the bomb. We could confront him privately. We could file for divorce and let him scramble. Or, she paused dramatically, we could destroy him completely. What do you mean? I asked. We could report the embezzlement to his company and the police. We could make sure Sophia loses her consulting license. We could ensure that Daniel doesn't just lose his marriage. He loses his career, his freedom, and his future with his mistress. The room went silent. Everyone was looking at me, waiting for my decision. A week ago, I would have said no. I would have wanted to handle things quietly, protect Daniel from consequences, think about what was best for everyone. But that woman was gone. I want to know all my options, I said quietly. I want to know every possible way this could play out before I decide. But Catherine, I want you to understand something. My priority is protecting my children. Whatever we do, Emma and Jackson come first. Understood, Catherine said. But Sarah, protecting your children means protecting their financial future. And right now, their father is stealing that future to fund his affair and his crimes. The children's questions. That week was the hardest of my life. Every morning, I woke up next to Daniel and pretended everything was normal. I made breakfast, packed lunches, helped with homework. I smiled and laughed and played my role perfectly. But inside, I was dying a little more each day. Emma started noticing something was wrong. She was 13, old enough to sense tension even when I tried to hide it. One evening, while I was folding laundry in her room, she looked up from her phone. Mom, are you and Dad fighting? My heart stopped. Why would you ask that? I don't know. Things feel weird. You seem sad. And Dad's been gone a lot lately. More than usual. I sat down on her bed, choosing my words carefully. Sometimes grown-ups go through difficult times, sweetie. But whatever happens between your dad and me, it has nothing to do with you and Jackson. We both love you so much. Are you getting divorced? Her voice was small, scared. I wanted to lie. I wanted to protect her from the truth. But I also knew I couldn't make promises I might not be able to keep. I don't know what's going to happen, I said honestly. But I promise you, if anything changes, you'll be the first to know. And no matter what, you and your brother will always be safe and loved. She hugged me tight, and I held her, my 13-year-old baby, and wondered how Daniel could risk destroying her world for an affair. Jackson was easier. At 10, he was still young enough to accept simple explanations. When he asked why I seemed tired, I blamed it on not sleeping well. When he asked why Dad was working so much, I said there was a big project at the office. He believed me because children want to believe their parents. They want to think their world is safe. Every lie I told my children made me hate Daniel more. The fake reconciliation. 2 weeks into our investigation, Daniel surprised me. He came home early one Friday with flowers and a smile. Sarah, I've been thinking. We haven't been on a date in forever. Just the two of us. Let me take you out tomorrow night. Somewhere nice. We can get dressed up, have dinner, remember why we fell in love. I stared at him, these flowers in my hands, and wanted to throw them in his face. Instead, I smiled. That sounds wonderful. Great, he said, kissing my forehead. I already made reservations. 7 o'clock at Marcello's. Marcello's, the most expensive Italian restaurant in town. The same restaurant where Rebecca had photographed him having dinner with Sophia just 2 weeks earlier. Was he really that arrogant? Or that stupid? I called Catherine immediately. He's taking me to dinner tomorrow night. The same place he takes her. Perfect, Catherine said. We're something that makes you feel powerful. And Sarah? This is your chance to see if he suspects anything. Pay attention to everything he says, how he acts. If he's planning to leave you, there will be signs. That night, I went through my closet looking for the right dress. I found it in the back, still in its dry cleaning bag. A black dress I'd bought for a wedding 3 years ago. It was elegant, sophisticated, and made me look like someone who knew her worth. I tried it on and barely recognized myself. The woman in the mirror wasn't a betrayed wife. She was a warrior preparing for battle. Saturday evening, Daniel and I drove to Marcello's in near silence. He kept glancing at me, smiling, reaching over to touch my hand. You look beautiful, he said. I've missed this. Missed us. At the restaurant, the hostess led us to a corner table. The same corner table where Rebecca's photographs showed Daniel sitting with Sophia. I wondered if he'd requested it specifically. The waiter brought wine, took our orders, left us alone. Sarah, Daniel said, reaching across the table for my hand. I know I've been distracted lately. Work has been crazy, and I haven't been giving you the attention you deserve. I'm sorry. I want to do better. I looked into his eyes, searching for any sign of guilt or remorse. There was nothing, just practiced sincerity. It's okay, I said softly. I know you work hard. You do it for us, for the kids. I do, he said quickly. Too quickly. Everything I do is for this family. You know that, right? Of course. He squeezed my hand. I love you, Sarah. I know I don't say it enough, but I do. You and the kids, you're everything to me. Lies. Every word was a lie. And he was so good at it, so practiced, that if I hadn't seen the evidence, I might have believed him. The secret meeting. On Monday, I did something Catherine hadn't advised. Something risky and probably stupid. But I had to do it. I had to look Sophia Martinez in the eye and understand what kind of woman destroys another woman's family. I'd gotten Sophia's work address from David's research. She worked for a consulting firm downtown. I waited in my car across the street, watching the building entrance. At noon, she emerged, wearing a designer suit and sunglasses, her dark hair perfect. I followed her to a nearby cafe. She ordered a salad and sat at a table by the window, pulling out her laptop. I walked straight up to her table. Sophia Martinez? She looked up, annoyed at the interruption. Yes. My name is Sarah Parker. I'm Daniel's wife. The color drained from her face. For a moment, she just stared at me. Then she recovered, her expression hardening. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. I pulled out my phone and showed her one of Rebecca's photographs. Daniel kissing her in a parking lot. I know everything. The affair. The business you started together. The house in Cape May. The embezzled money. Everything. Sophia's hand trembled slightly as she set down her fork. When she spoke, her voice was ice cold. What do you want? I want to understand, I said, sitting down across from her without being invited. I want to understand how you could do this. You're a smart woman. A successful woman. You could have any man you wanted. Why mine? Why a married man with 2 children? She laughed, bitter and sharp. You really don't know, do you? You have no idea. Idea about what? Daniel told me about you. How you've let yourself go. How you're more interested in being a mother than being a wife. How you haven't had a real conversation with him in years. How he feels invisible in his own home. Each word was a knife, but I kept my expression neutral. And you believed him? I didn't need to believe him. I could see it. A man doesn't cheat on a happy marriage, Sarah. If you'd been enough for him, he wouldn't have needed me. The cruelty of it took my breath away. She actually believed this was my fault. Does he know you're married to him? I asked quietly. Because you're not. I am. And no matter what pretty lies he's told you, he goes home to me every night. He sleeps in my bed. He's raising children with me. You're the side piece, Sophia. You're the dirty secret. And when this all falls apart, and it will, I'll still be his wife. What will you be? Her face flushed red. We're building a life together. The business, the house, our plans. Daniel is leaving you. He just needs time to figure out the right way to do it. Is that what he told you? I leaned forward. Let me guess. He said he was waiting for the right time. Waiting until the kids were older. Waiting until he had enough money saved. He's been telling you soon for months now, hasn't he? The flicker in her eyes told me I'd hit the mark. Men like Daniel don't leave, I said, standing up. They have their comfortable home life and their exciting affair, and they keep both as long as they can. You think you're special, but you're not. You're just convenient. And when I'm done with him, he won't have anything left to offer you. Not money, not a business, not a future. Nothing. I walked out of that cafe feeling powerful and broken at the same time. Sophia was a victim too, in a way. A willing victim who'd believed a married man's lies. But she was also someone who'd knowingly helped destroy a family. And for that, she deserved whatever consequences were coming. The trap is set. That evening, Catherine called a final meeting. It's time, she said. We have everything we need. Financial evidence, surveillance photos, proof of embezzlement, proof of the affair. Now we need to decide how to proceed. What are my options? I asked. Catherine laid out 3 scenarios. Option 1, private divorce. We file papers, negotiate a settlement, split assets. You get probably 60% of everything, full custody of the kids, child support and alimony. Daniel loses his marriage but keeps his job and his freedom. Option 2, public divorce. We file papers and leak information about the affair to his company. He loses his job, his reputation, but probably avoids criminal charges if the company decides not to prosecute. Option 3, scorched earth. We report everything to his company and the police. He faces embezzlement charges, possible prison time. Sophia loses her consulting license. They both lose everything. You get full custody, all marital assets, and Daniel spends the next decade trying to rebuild his life from nothing. I sat there, thinking about my children, thinking about the life I'd built, thinking about Daniel kissing Sophia while I was home with his kids, thinking about him stealing money that should have gone to Emma's college fund and Jackson's future. I want option 3, I said, but with one modification. What's that? Catherine asked. I want to tell him myself. I want to see his face when he realizes I know everything. I want him to understand that he didn't win, that I was smarter, that I was stronger. I want one moment where he knows he lost. Catherine smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. I can arrange that. When? Our anniversary is in 2 weeks, I said. Daniel always makes a big deal about it. Dinner, gifts, speeches about how lucky we are. This year, let's make it memorable. Let's invite everyone who matters. His parents, our kids, our friends. Let's have a celebration he'll never forget. You want to expose him in front of everyone? Maya looked shocked. No, I said. I want to give him one last chance to tell the truth himself. In front of everyone who loves him. I want to see if there's any decency left in the man I married. And when he lies, when he stands up and gives some speech about our happy marriage, that's when I'll show everyone exactly who he really is. Rebecca was grinning. That's cold, Sarah. Good, I said. I've been warm and trusting for 15 years. Look where it got me. Catherine began taking notes. Okay, here's what we'll need. A private room at a restaurant, big enough for about 20 people. A projector and screen. We'll need to show evidence. And you'll need to prepare yourself emotionally. This is going to be brutal. For everyone, but especially for your kids. My heart clenched thinking about Emma and Jackson. I know, but they need to understand who their father really is. And I'd rather they learn it from me, surrounded by family who loves them, than have them find out some other way later. Then let's plan an anniversary he'll never forget, Catherine said. Over the next 2 weeks, I played the role of excited wife planning a surprise anniversary party. I called Daniel's parents in Florida and invited them to fly up. I invited our closest friends. I told Daniel I was planning something special, but wouldn't give details. He seemed pleased, almost smug, probably thinking about how he'd give some touching speech while secretly counting the days until he could leave me for Sophia. I reserved a private room at the Garden House, an upscale restaurant where we'd celebrated every major milestone in our marriage. I told the staff we needed a projector for a slideshow of family photos. They thought it was sweet and romantic. I prepared a presentation. Not family photos. Evidence. Bank statements. Surveillance photos. Text messages David had recovered from phone records. Every piece of documentation that proved what Daniel and Sophia had done. 3 days before the anniversary, Daniel came home with a jewelry box. I know you said no gifts, he said, smiling. But I saw this and had to get it for you. Inside was a diamond necklace. Beautiful, expensive, probably cost several $1,000s. Money he'd stolen to buy gifts for both his wife and his mistress. "It's beautiful," I said, letting him fasten it around my neck. "Thank you. You deserve it," he said, kissing me. "You deserve everything."